of the most surprising things about the new Suicide Squad movie is that audiences seem to have really taken a shine to Killer Croc, a character who's never had a particularly strong fan base before. What's more, he is one of your most requested Suicide Squad case files because many of you don't know who he is. That's downright shocking to those of us who enjoyed Batman the Animated Series, where Killer Croc spent quite a bit of time in the spotlight. But when you think of how sporadically and inconsistently he's shown up in the comics, well, then it starts to make a little more sense. First off, though, while David Ayer's Suicide Squad is, for the most part, incredibly faithful to the comics, Killer Croc and Katana are the two members of his team who have never been on the Suicide Squad. It's most likely that Killer Croc is taking the place of King Shark, an old Superboy villain who was briefly drafted by the Suicide Squad back in the 1990s before being made a founding member of the team when DC relaunched all its titles as the New 52. You know, when Harley Quinn was also thrown into the mix, suddenly making this team a fan favorite that caught Warner Brothers' eye. But despite his explosive cameo in the recent animated movie Assault on Arkham, which is believed to have largely inspired Ayer's Suicide Squad, obviously Warner Brothers feels a guy with a literal giant shark head is a bit too comic booky. So enter Killer Croc, who not only can easily and more realistically fill King Shark's cannibalistic animal skin shoes, but deepens this team's ties to Batman as he is a classic member of the Dark Knight's Rogues Gallery. So, who is Waylon Jones? Well, he's whoever DC needs him to be at the moment. Sometimes he's a wannabe gangster, sometimes he's a mindless monster, and sometimes he's even nice, especially lately. So don't be surprised if Ayer's Killer Croc is not only wrestling with his appetite, but his moral code. Killer Croc was first introduced in Batman 357, part of the same story arc that introduced the second and most difficult Robin, Jason Todd. I wonder if we'll ever see Todd's Red Hood on the Suicide Squad because he totally fit in. Anyway, Croc hid behind a trench coat until his final reveal, hoping to be a key player in Gotham's underworld. But there are a lot of movers and shakers in Gotham's underworld already, but not a lot of muscle. Thus, Killer Croc developed into a boss-level Batman villain. In fact, in some video games, he's often literally a boss-level villain. And he's often manipulated by those movers and shakers to take Batman out for them. Perhaps this is how he began to morph into a sympathetic character, because he was being used. Another change was that he began to be depicted as someone who was sold to the circus as a child on account of his skin condition. The circus angle actually connected him to the first Robin, Dick Grayson, and sometimes he's even given a history with Haley's Circus, where of course the Flying Graysons infamously performed. And with this, Killer Croc started to become a human personification of the animal that is vicious because it's been mistreated. That makes him ripe for rehabilitation, which Swamp Thing and fellow Arkham inmate Sybil Silverlock have tried to do, as has Batman in the Earth 1 alternate universe written by Jeff Johns. In fact, in that storyline, it's even hinted that he'll become a part of Batman's team along with Alfred. Also, in the New 52, he realized that Red Arrow was trying to commit suicide by supervillain, which he refused to be a part of, and even became Red Arrow's AA sponsor. Although, it seems DC has dropped that storyline, just as they've dropped so much of the New 52. It's also worth noting that Killer Croc is the only black member of Batman's classic Rogues Gallery, and was just the second black character to join Batman's main cast after Lucius Fox in 1979. And while Ayer's Suicide Squad is much more diverse, even beyond what the comic achieved, that tradition has been continued with the casting of Adewale Akinnuoye-Agbaje as Killer Croc. So far, the actor has described his character as a cannibal with rage issues, and we can see that he's closer to a man than a monster. If you're wondering about the teeth, while in the comics, Waylon or the circus often files them into points to complete his look, just like Enobaria in the Hunger Games. Too bad Waylon didn't get flushed into the sewers of the Capitol. They would have loved him. He also sports bandages around his hands as he has in the Batman Arkham video games, which is also a nod to him sometimes being portrayed as an ex-wrestler instead of an ex-circus freak. Perhaps this Killer Croc comes from the MMA circuit? Oh, and he's either got a sick sense of style or someone else does, as in the movie he sports a jacket with a gold crocodile design, and that seems to be made out of crocodile skin. Looks like he's got a sick sense of humor too, or again, someone else does. We'll have to wait and see if this Killer Croc is dangerous in his own right, or a misunderstood victim just waiting to flip for Batman. As for Adewale himself, he's been trying to survive in the sewers of Hollywood since 1995, when he got his first role in Congo. Audiences best know him for his small screen work, HBO's Oz and ABC's Lost, but he did co-star in Pompeii opposite Jon Snow, and it's worth noting he also appeared briefly on Game of Thrones itself. Plus he had a very small role in Suicide Squad co-star Will Smith's latest movie, Concussion. However, while Adewale might not be recognized by audiences at large, he himself surely recognizes Waylon Jones, as he joined a skinhead gang in the UK when he was a teenager, struggling with his heritage as a Nigerian foster child and not wanting to be targeted. Sounds like Adewale knows what it's like to hate yourself and to go down a dark, dangerous, and wrong path in the name of survival. So, what version of Killer Croc are you hoping to see in Suicide Squad? Can he really replace King Shark? And can Adewale prove Warner Brothers was right to not cast a named talent? Write your thoughts down below. I'm Grace Randolph, and be sure to tell me who you want to see explored next on Suicide Squad Case Files. Enchantress, Deadshot, and Amanda Waller are available to watch right now.